How to deal with highs and lows in life. Welcome to Remind Us. My name is Aiden. Today, I would like to speak about the highs and lows in life because all of us go through that. We will have an amazing day and then we come back down. Instead of just carrying on with our lives, we somehow fall below that normal and experience some sort of a short depression. So, before I start my video, I would like to give a shout out to Amara. He lives in Sierra Leone in Africa. He is one of my viewers. He has commented several times. And Amara, I appreciate you greatly for it. I hope you are doing good. Let's start this video. The highs and lows in life. Have you ever been in a hospital, or maybe you saw a picture? Have you ever seen a picture of a heartbeat? It is a nice steady line, and then it's heartbeat up, heartbeat down, and back. Steady, steady, heartbeat up, heartbeat down, steady, steady. I have observed that our emotional state seemed to follow that pattern too, at a much slower pace, of course, not one beat every second. But overall, in a previous video, I have said that our normal autonomous life, like stuff that we just seem to do every day as a routine. For example, you wake up, you take your morning shower, brush your teeth, eat some breakfast, go to work, come home, make dinner, watch some TV, go to sleep, rinse and repeat the next day, right? That would be the average life for most of us. It's the monotony that we all live with. We don't like it, but we do it either because we feel it's our duty, because we feel we got to pay our bills, and this is how we do that. Whatever it is, I call that the gray zone of life. Nothing out of the ordinary happens here. It is very predictable. Like, it's Monday. You're gonna have to do this 4 more times. If you're like myself, 38 years old, you're gonna have to do this at least for 20 more years. That's not necessarily a pleasant thing to look forward to, but it's in a gray zone. That's the line of the heartbeat that is always level. That is how I look at that. And then things happen in your life, whether it is planned or unexpected. They cause a spike out of this gray monotony line. And although I'd set my videos not for children, I only do that for the sake of allowing comments. Apparently, kid-friendly videos do not allow comments. I don't know why. Anyway, for an example for children, maybe it would be, waking up for school every day. For them, the monotony is school every day. But children have one thing that adults no longer have. A lot of the things children experience, it is always something new. You see, the older we get and the more often we do something, once it is an experience you have had once or twice, the newness of it, the uniqueness of it, the adventurous feeling to it, it wears off. So now it becomes not necessarily boring, but it's not new either. Like, your mind is no longer engaged like it was the first 1 or 2 times you experienced something for the first time. So for children in school, an example of a big spike up out of the gray zone might be, an amazing day in an amusement park with friends and family maybe. You do something completely out of the ordinary, something amazing. That would be, the gray zone. This is a spike up. Things suddenly are way better than normal. You're out of your monotony. You're doing something new again. You're all excited. You're all happy. That's great. And now you come back home and you're back in the monotony. Oh, you got to get ready for school tomorrow. And, get your homework ready, your lunch, whatever. You're back in the monotony. But you see, this spike has come to an end. You are back into the gray zone. And what happens to most of us, especially more in our adult life, instead of falling back in this gray zone, we somehow fall through it into some mild depression. I've already told you guys I'm also in the BDSM world. A spike up would be subspace. You're in this amazing detached from reality space, like the gray zone doesn't even exist in that space, and then you fall through that space and you fall into what's known as sub drop. You drop from your high state. And some submissives that I've spoken to, they will say this state can last anywhere from 24 to 48 up to 3 days. So 24 hours, 48 hours, maybe a whole 3 days. And the danger here is that in this down state, we want to grasp on to other things to keep us back in the high state, or at least bring us quickly back into the gray normal zone where we can function normal and don't have to worry about our miserable thoughts in our head. Like, oh, I want that high again. Oh, I want to be back in the amusement park because this is no fun here. I don't want to be here. What we do in that down state is often very unconscious. We will try and drag other people down just to get ourselves back up. And we're not even aware that we're doing that. And this video is not here to tell you that that is bad or good. I want to more shine a light on this up-down cycle that we all seem to go through, this heartbeat system for emotions in this case. I'm not talking about your physical heartbeat that you can measure on what's that machine called? I will forget right now. But you see, I want to look into that to see what can we do to enjoy these spikes up without having to fall down and plummet into something that's less than ideal. For me, I looked at why do yogis always go into these retreats from reality for years. I have this weird fascination with yogic culture. And I'm not saying they have all the answers. Yes, they seem to come out some form of enlightened, and that's not really what this video is about. But somehow I feel this video is pointing out how to find a natural state of inner peace without having to worry about ups and downs and still be present that you can enjoy them. You see, these yogis, they go in retreats to completely detach from any stimulus, whether it is your five senses or emotional stimulus. For young people, falling in love is a huge stimulus. Do you remember when you fell in love for the first time? Like, the whole world was amazing. Things that even sucked before you fell in love are now also magically amazing. It's like everything's, smoothly flows along. There is nothing to worry about because I'm in love. Life is amazing. And I hope you'll never have to experience this, but do you recall what happens when the relation suddenly ended for whatever reason? Somebody broke up with you, or maybe you moved to a different state, you had to end the relation, anything. Do you remember how this amazing world is suddenly the worst thing to you at all? Everything reminds you of how terrible everything is. You see, falling in love, spike up. Your love ends, spike down, boom. And now you gotta wait until you come out of that. I value my viewers, and I have mentioned Reverend Sean Walker before. He sent me a quote that is very in line with this video. Here is the quote: "If you find yourself low in a metaphysical hell, it is important that you don't stay there too long. So when you're going through hell, keep going." You see, I like that quote. I will never say to anybody, "Oh, I'm sorry you feel like crap. Don't worry, things will be fine." I know that things will be fine, and I want you to feel the same. And that's the terrible, I'm sorry, not terrible. This is the hard thing to do. When somebody feels incredibly down, it seems like no matter what you do or say, that person has to come out of this metaphysical hell themselves. We can be there for them, we can support them, but ultimately, this person in quote unquote hell will have to walk out himself, herself. I completely believe that. I have been in massive depressions in my life too. I have even struggled with suicidal thoughts in my late teenage years. I really couldn't fathom what life was about anymore. It always seemed spike up, spike down, and that spike down was always terrible. I never felt like I'm going to come out of this. And I remember vividly that thinking about ending my life always seemed peaceful. It seemed like a peaceful solution to a whole bunch of drama. Life, essentially. Of course, I am still here, and these phases have long passed, but the highs and lows in life seem to be the thing that throws us easily in that direction. Not just suicide, maybe it is a massive depression where you end up on medication. Maybe you can no longer function in your everyday life. Like you no longer wake up in time for work, or you just don't care that you're late anymore. Like the things you are expected to do in life seem to suddenly be not important to you. That is a low in life. So, as I was saying earlier, these yogis go in long retreats and they just seem to disconnect from all outer stimuli, whether they are mental, emotional, or physical, your five senses. They completely disconnect from everything. Why do they do that? They want to know who they are, period. They don't want to know who they are when they're in a relation. They don't want to know who they are when they're sad. They don't want to know who they are when they're happy. They want to know themselves, period. This means that no matter what were to happen to them, they will still be that self. And that self is what I would call the line between heartbeat pulses. I myself have learned to observe who am I overall. When there is nothing stimulating me, who am I? Am I miserable? Am I depressed? And if so, why? Nothing is stimulating me. Why am I feeling like crap? Why do I feel like I don't want to get up for work today? I spend a lot of time looking at that. And by a lot, I mean years. I never thought something is wrong with me, but I felt there was something wrong with that state I'm in. It always felt like an unnatural state, not just for me, for everybody who is trying to enjoy life. It feels you're in a state, you know it doesn't belong to you, and yet that state persists. It doesn't go away on its own. Why? What's keeping you there? I've said in previous videos, we humans have this amazing ability to think back and forth in time. And that is a cool quality, but nobody has really ever explained to us what to do with this ability. And if you ask me, 90% of depression and anxiety exists only in that state. If I were to stand on a nail or a thumbtack, something that stimulates my foot, it hurts. That is happening now. If I take that thumbtack or the nail out of my foot, I may have to heal for a couple of days, but I know the source of the pain is already gone. It just has to heal now. With depression, it is possible to be alone in a crowded room, and when we lay our head on our pillow, we are most definitely alone with our own thoughts, even when we have someone next to us. That is from Sean Walker. He just wrote that on my YouTube, and he is absolutely right. We can be in a room loved by many people, and yet we can be completely disconnected from this loving presence altogether. Whatever is playing in our heads is giving us the state that we are in. It is the colored glasses that we have on. No matter what's going on around us, no matter how loving people are, it seems like this state, unless it is out of the way, what happens around us is almost irrelevant. I'm not saying helping your friends in need is bad. I'm simply saying be aware this person has to come out of his own hell. We can just be there supportively until they are ready to do so. Back to the nail and the thumbtack in the foot. I pull that out. I may not feel instantly better, but I know the problem is gone. Now I just have to heal. It seems that we and our ability to think, some part of us knows the nail is gone, but we keep on living like the nail was never removed. And that is our ability of thinking, our ability of memory. We are aware something bad has happened to us. We're also aware that that bad stimulus is gone, and yet the feeling we were left with isn't leaving us. Have you ever noticed that? Something bad happens, and that stimulus is it's over in seconds, maybe minutes, but the damage seems to last months, sometimes years. An example many of us will understand immediately: you were bullied as a child. Hey, I'm right there with you guys. I was bullied as a child too. It wasn't daily, maybe, but it is an event that I can recall. You see, the bully has been out of my life for years, but I might still today be walking around with the mental damage that that did to me. So that would be a heartbeat down, and that beat never goes back up to normal. Why? This is our amazing thinking and memory ability that we're trapped in there somehow. We don't know how to take control of that, maybe. And that is why I took a big look at the yogis. What is it actually they're doing? They're making sure that without all the stimulus, good or bad, that they know who they are. And when they come out of these retreats in India, they tend to treat them as very enlightened beings. Why? Because they naturally help everybody around them, no matter what goes on around them. If somebody mistreats them, they don't suddenly start hating that person. They know that person needs love too. And not a lot of us can do that. If we feel mistreated, we instantly go on the offensive. If that's not an option, we're going to put some sort of mental barrier up to make sure that person cannot emotionally harm us. But again, I don't think these are necessarily solutions, because if you put walls up for any reason whatsoever, you cannot move either. You see, you say, I'm going to live like you don't exist. Well, guess what? You cannot live either, period. Whether something is there or not, now there is a wall in your way from living. So this wall is a metaphor of, I know that this kind of behavior hurts my feelings. As soon as I see it, I'm going to walk the other way. How can you ever be at peace if you're constantly looking, should I build a wall here? I remember putting this wall here, let's not go there either. You see, the older you get in life, you're going to be surrounded by walls sooner or later, and you're not even going to notice that you have built your own mental prison. I love metaphors, and my brain is instantly telling me, great, I'm surrounded by my own walls. I'm now a yogi. I can sit here and meditate. No, because these walls are all reminders of stimuli you don't want. That's not the same as saying there are no stimulants. You see, if you say that's no longer stimulating me, that is a stimulator. Like this loud neighbor of mine, if I'm gonna ignore him, it's no longer stimulating. It is. You're ignoring a loud stimulant now. That's not the same as saying that person exists. I'm at peace with that. And I'm not sure if any yogi could just walk up to you and say, oh, do this. Your life will always be nice and smooth. You will never have a depression again. You will never feel high again. Speaking of the highs, usually when we hear the word high, it is related to drugs. Well, let's look into that for just a second. I myself smoke regular cigarettes, nothing else. I don't smoke pot or, opioids, any of that, just cigarettes. I notice that every time I am done smoking a cigarette, as soon as that high wears off, another one is already craving that high again. It's almost like I always have to be on little high ripples or something bad will happen. I know nothing bad will happen if I quit smoking. If anything, I'm going to be a healthier person for it. But you see, it's a stimulant that wants your constant attention. Almost everything in life is a stimulant of some sort. And I myself no longer fight with, is this a good stimulant? Is this a bad stimulant? I look at everything as it is all life. How detrimental am I to myself and life around me is more or less how I still view the world. You see, my smoking is a bad habit. It's not a good habit. Let's be honest here. But I am not gonna light my cigarette, blow the smoke in your face, and act like I'm totally fine with that. Not at all. I will go and smoke outside most of the time. If it's really cold and windy out and raining and wet, I might smoke in my house next to an open window with plenty of ventilation, and never when I have a group of people in my house. It's usually when I'm alone, because I know it's a poison. I'm doing this. But back to the high for a second. The bad drugs out there, and boing, there you go, label bad, like heroin, cocaine. When you start taking these things, you are looking to get out of this steady line of life into something better, because this steady line is no longer entertaining you. You need something better, something way more stimulating, way more exhilarating. And you find something. Boom. Now, if you do that one time and you come back to normal and you can wait a whole week, that's good. You tried something new. I'm not saying trying heroin and cocaine are good. I'm just saying trying something once will never create a new habit. Bad or good doesn't matter. A habit is something you no longer control necessarily. It starts to control you, like my cigarette smoking. I know it is controlling me. So something gives you a high. I find it very fascinating that our body has a receptor to most physical stimulants, to most drugs. That's weird, isn't it? Our body has a receptor for that already. Most people that I know personally that smoke pot, they will tell me it calms them down, it will calm their nerves, it will calm their thoughts. And even that, it has a receptor inside of your body. The elements that are in weed, when you inhale them, your body somehow knows this can cause a relaxing state, and it does that after you consume the stimulant. So you could say, let me experience something amazing, going to an amusement park, something great, or take your partner on the most amazing date. You both have this fantastic day, and now you come back to the gray zone, and instead of just appreciating this amazing day, you make sure your thoughts cannot take a hike with you, and you'll just start taking a stimulant to make sure you don't fall back below that gray zone. No depression for me, let me smoke instead. These are the ups and downs that I'm talking about. Something amazing happens. Why does it always seem like something negative follows? And I'm talking about the emotional state again. I just got off the phone with a friend of mine. She is also in BDSM. And she knows very well that if she has a good experience, she is going to feel a high. Now, let me tell you something funny about the BDSM highs people experience. Almost never, ideally, never, does it include a stimulant that you consume, inhale, inject, anything. This is a physical experience that you go through, and yet your body is going to respond as if you took indeed a drugs. Why is that? Again, we were momentarily taken out of the gray zone into this amazing experience. But when that experience ends, you're going to come back down. And most people, they don't just come back down, they fall through the norm and go in some sort of a depression. We know that a subdrop, of course. Endorphins, yes. Sean Walker commented. I'm indeed speaking of endorphins. When you go through a physical experience without consuming anything at all in any manner, your body produces endorphins. They make you feel amazing. But when that physical stimulant is gone, these endorphins somehow need to calm down. Your body goes through a drop, and now you end up in a depressive state. It is almost like a rubber band. If you try to pull up, as soon as you let go of the band, guess what? It doesn't just fall on the table. It usually shoots past that level. It's almost like our body knows that if endorphins spike up, we must also have a spike down. Usually we say the universe is always seeking a state of equilibrium. So in a way, it makes sense. If you drop a pebble in a pond, you don't only get ripples that are above the water surface. In between those high ripples are actually valleys that are lower than the water surface. That's a similar concept. But eventually, these ripples all ripple to the far edges of nowhere, and everything is back quiet to normal. That is the same metaphor that I'm using. It is the heartbeat. When everything is quiet and normal and mundane, that's the regular flat line until something spikes you up. I'll tell you something else that actually happens. Not all spikes down are preceded by a spike up. Let's say your life is all normal, you're just doing your job or your school. Suddenly, you find out someone very dear to you just died. You see, there is no high here. First, no. Someone just that you cared about disappeared. And most of us have a hard drop down, a really bad. First, the feeling of, I miss this person. God, there were so many things I wish I would have still said. And now it's gone. I've met people in my life that have lost a parent, a brother, a sibling, somebody very dear to them. And now, 10, 20 years later, they are still suffering that loss. And they take that so far that they're even avoiding relations altogether. It's almost like some part of them is now convinced if I care about somebody, they can pull me down from my normal emotional state just by disappearing. I want to prevent that. Let me not ever let anybody get close to me again. You see, this is a form of putting up a wall. Something happened here. Let me build a wall between that memory, somebody dying that I cared a lot about, and my current life now. Let's make sure I never get close to anybody again to prevent that. You see, that is a wall. And over time, you might forget why that wall is there, but what state does that leave you in? You are now living afraid to live relations, and you don't even have a clue why. I'll tell you why. Some deep repressed part in your memory knows you lost somebody important to you. So now let's make sure nobody ever becomes important to you again. This is why it is so important that we can appreciate life for what it is. It is experiences. You can call them good or bad. I avoid that at all costs because there is no such thing as good and bad. That is our judgment. If something is happening now that was better than yesterday, it's good. If I see somebody getting hurt by default, that is bad because that is less than what I have, less ideal than what I have, I should say. So I try not to label anything good and bad anymore. Ultimately, that is not for us to judge. Everything that happens is just an experience. And if you don't ever want to get stuck in highs and lows, it is important you learn to live in the now. I read the book The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. It's spoke in excuse me, my dinner. It spoke in great detail of something that I have concluded for myself. We are suffering the past, and most of us don't even know we're suffering it. Like I said, we built up a wall, a mental, metaphorical wall. We forget the past, but we still suffer the consequences. And now that we have forgotten, we don't even know we're suffering the consequences. So, what was I saying here? Yeah, the ups and downs. Like, wow, I really lost my train of thought there for a second. Endorphins. Right, but I want to talk about. Oh, right, I was talking about the power of now. Because we suffer our imagination, our ability to think in the past and the future, we forget to live now. It is almost that we cannot be at peace now. We cannot be at peace when we should be at peace. And nobody seems to be teaching us that a moment of silence is good. And by a moment of silence, I include inner chatter in your head. If you're worrying about things you have to do tomorrow, and like I said, worrying about your dear ones you have lost, what can I say to you to show you that that is not important? I believe heaven is real. And I believe that if we meet important people here, people that become important to us essentially, and they die before us, my mom, my dad, they're still alive today, but a day will come that they're dead. I already know I am not going to be devastated. Why? Because I have accepted that life comes with a limited amount of time. So am I saying, let me just pretend she's already dead to make sure I don't suffer too much when she does die? Not at all. I am appreciating all the time that I have now with my mom. Me and my dad don't talk much anymore. And therefore, I'm not going to regret anything when that day comes. I'm not going to regret things that I wish I would have said. You see, that's another thing that I have learned to do. I no longer watch my mouth in a sense of, I don't want to say this because I don't want to hurt her feelings. If I feel something is on my chest and it needs to be said, I'm going to say it. I will say it in a loving and considerate manner, but I'm not gonna, eat that up inside of me, never say it out loud. The day comes my mom died, and now I'm gonna be like, crap, I wanted to say all these things I never did. Now what? Again, you're setting yourself up to be stuck with this for the rest of your life. So be careful with that. I love being open and honest to everybody that I meet, and this is part of the reason. I no longer feel like protecting my feelings or your feelings by hiding the truth, by hiding the way that I feel. That is me staying on my steady line. I feel if I have to hide things and suppress things, I'm already causing a spike down somewhat. Maybe it's not a spike, maybe it's more like I'm already living in a lower state. I want to live every day of my life in the highest state that I can, above the gray zone, even ideally. And I think I've figured out for myself how to do that. Remember, I was talking about drugs earlier, and I said our body already seems to have receptors for everything this planet actually generates, like even ayahuasca, peyote, all of these strange things that you don't just randomly take as part of your dinner or breakfast. Our body has receptors for that. That always struck me as weird. Most of us are never going to do heroin or cocaine or peyote, ayahuasca, anything. I, for one, I really want to go live with the native Indians for like maybe a month to really soak up their culture and have some deep soul experiences, some really mind opening. I already feel I have an open mind, but you know what I mean? Like, have a real absolute moment of disconnect from my physical body and be very in tune with everything that is not my body. So, back to the receptors, our body has receptors for all these weird things. I find it strange that we don't necessarily need a stimulus, a physical stimulus, to trigger these receptors. If you could use your imagination, what's something that you dream of that is usually considered to be an adrenaline spike? Let's just say you enjoy driving really fast on the highway, but you're only 13 years old, right? That's a problem. You're not allowed legally to drive. That would be adrenaline if you could drive really fast. Have you ever considered that you could lay down in bed or sit on a chair somewhere quiet in the woods, wherever, a place where you're alone with your thoughts? Have you ever noticed that you can envision that event in so much detail that the receptors in your body that have to do with adrenaline, driving, speed, all of these things are actually activated? In essence, all the drugs. Reverend John Walker, I get a kick out of having wings. You see, I have that too. Actually, I some part of me is convinced that I have wings, and all I have to do is flap, stretch, poof, I'm ready to take on the world now. Anyway, I was saying, you can lay in your bed and envision that thing you want to experience in so much detail. The receptors in your body are going to give all these endorphins and all these highs related to that experience. What is strange about this? You're just laying in your bed. Your body should be completely relaxed. No weird drug phenomena, weird mental states at all. Isn't that weird? And what I have noticed is if you control that experience, which would be a high again, it doesn't seem like it is followed by a low, a depression. It seems like when you're the one inducing the high, yourself alone, nobody is doing this for you or to you, you come out of this much easier, much more relaxed, much more, that was nice, that was amazing. It's strange, right? Because meditators, people that meditate, seem to come out of their state much more relaxed too. But they never say they were fantasizing driving a race car. They actually say, I cleared my mind. These two seem to be similar. If you're one of these people that say, I can't just sit there and meditate and think about nothing, this would be my advice to you. Think of something that you would love to experience. Spend an entire half hour, maybe an hour, more if you have time, fantasizing. Let's not call it meditating. Let's call it fantasizing for a second. Do that when you're alone. You're going to feel amazing. And when you come out of that, you go back to your life, do what you got to do, the monotony, like I said, take a shower, make dinner, go to work, do your laundry, vacuum the floor, whatever. It fascinates me that we have these receptors and we live our lives almost as if other people are controlling our highs and lows. Like I said, you go to an amusement park, it is almost like as if that amusement park made you feel so amazing. And yes, that is true. But observe this from a distance for a second. Did the amusement park actually do something to you? Or did you just experience things that were going on around you and with you? That is actually the real truth. You are the one that soaks up reality around you. Your endorphin receptors get triggered, and now you live with the illusion that the outside world is doing that to you. Remember, this is something that I say in videos often. Everything happens for you. Nothing happens to you. When seemingly good things and seemingly bad things happen, if you convince yourself that they happened for you, you will take them much less personal. And therefore, they will leave a much less heavy weight on your memory, your emotions, and so on. Again, this is what I consider that the state of depression comes from, the state of anxiety. You're worried in memory, a place that doesn't exist, about things that happened and may happen. So how can you deal better with the highs and lows in life? Right now, let's assume this laptop, this microphone, none of it is here. When I'm sitting here, my brother committed suicide in 1992. Like, that was terrible. This is what we do. We start thinking because there is nothing stimulating us. And what do? We think usually about bad experiences from the past. Here is something that I want you to actively try. There is a wall. There is the floor. There is a window. There is a light on the ceiling. I am stating facts that are going on right now in front of me. I'm not saying that wall was there yesterday. That light was there yesterday. That floor is going to be there tomorrow. You see, our mind has that ability to do that, but how often are you actually just at peace with your surroundings? The wall is there, the floor is there, my cat's sleeping there, the window is here. Those are silly examples. All I'm saying is none of that is stimulating me to feel any particular way. and it is also an activity that draws away your attention from everything that's floating around in your head, past and future. So when something amazing happens for you, subspace, you went out to an amusement park, you went out camping for the first time, you tried skiing, skydiving, deep dive snorkeling or scuba diving, anything. These are amazing experiences. I'll tell you what, before you even go to the experience, like tomorrow we might go, scuba diving. Cool. I've never scuba dived in my life. I've been swimming on the water my whole life, and I love that. It's peaceful down there, if you ask me. I have never put an oxygen tank on my back and stayed on the water for 10, 20 or more minutes. Now, when I know something amazing like that might happen, I tell myself to be present in the moment. Don't worry about tomorrow. Stay present here. Not worried about anything. Tomorrow is here now. We're scuba diving. I am just enjoying that experience, every bit of it. Maybe it takes us a little longer to get the equipment on my back. Maybe the instructor needs more time to teach you because it's my first time skydiving. I didn't expect any of that. I didn't just think, oh, water, scuba tank, yeah, bolt it on me, jump in there. The more expectations you build for anything, you are putting stress on you and your day, and you're having an incredibly difficult time just letting it come at you. Don't worry about how fast or slow things are going around you. Focus on the whole experience. Don't just say, until I'm in the water scuba diving, I'm not going to register anything. Everything sucks until then. All of the preparation is part of your scuba diving experience. First of all, now you're in the water, you're having an amazing day, and here is again what I want to remind you of. Your endorphins are waking up to an amazing experience. Know that you are experiencing the environment. The environment is not doing anything to you. You are experiencing it. And when you come home the next day, maybe, or late in the evening, you can relive that experience as if you were still there. By the example I just gave you earlier, lay down in your bed and feel that experience again. Now you have experienced it, and you're going to notice it's a little harder to fantasize now. Why? Because you limited your mind to the things that you did on that scuba diving day. You could almost argue if you never live at all, you can fantasize all the experiences, because guess what? In your head, they will all be perfect all the time. Why? Because you're creating the experiences for yourself. You are building up your endorphin system, personally catered, tailored to you. That's an amazing quality. But you need to be present to use that quality. If you are dwelling on everything that can go wrong, that quality will not work for you. You're going to keep worrying. You see, that is how you have to try and have amazingly good days. Know that you can feel like that by choice, or it's just amazing because you thought that park is the thing that made you feel amazing. You thought that scuba diving thing was what made you feel amazing. I know that's a little hard to grasp. Yes, of course, the scuba diving made you feel amazing. I'm just trying to tell you, know that you made yourself feel amazing. You see, this whole last 10, 15 minutes has been about feeling amazing. Sadly, the same goes for feeling very deep down and low. I'm obviously speaking about depression here. We can think and dream ourselves into a massive depression. All of our outlooks in life are bad. Like, oh, I'm going to grow old, not looking forward to it. Oh, I'm going to start hearing worse, seeing worse. My body is going to, feel more achy. We can worry about all these things. Depression will come from that. And again, just like you have control over how amazing you can feel during any good experience, the same goes for the bad experiences. Do you see now why it is not always easy to let other people help you out of these states? Your best friend might be trying to talk you out of your crappy mood, your crappy state. He's trying to make you feel better from what happened yesterday. Somebody important died, a coworker had an accident. I don't know. Until you are ready to come back into the good states, or at least the neutral state, I'm not sure what stimulant is going to do it. Whether it's a friend talking to you, or when you feel really sad and you get on a roller coaster, something that makes most of us feel good. Are you actually feeling good on that roller coaster, or are you just going down a roller coaster while feeling sad? You see, the roller coaster here is a metaphor for this is a friend talking to you, trying to make you feel better, but are you actually getting better? You need to know always your life, your emotions, and everything that you feel is always in your control. And as long as you believe that outside stimulants are causing your state right now, then you need to have a really good look around you. I have never been in prison, but that is like the only location that I can think of where I were to look around me, my reality would not be any better than my inner state. Because a prison, sadly, is not one of these places where you just go, I'm done with this, I'm walking out of here. You're probably there for a reason, and whatever that reason is, I'm not here to judge you. That's not the point. I'm simply saying the highs and lows in life can be and should always be in your control. Something else I don't like to talk about easily, but it is a huge stimulus in most of our lives. The news, politics, and mainstream sports, whether it's football, baseball. Have you ever noticed how many people are sucked up in that game? Yeah, the game of politics, the game of the news. When is the last time you heard the news and they said something great happened? Like, wow, these people planted 1,000,000 trees. We should all love them for that. That's great. You see, the news doesn't even seem to exist for that, which is weird to me because that's news too. Someone planted 1,000,000 trees. Why does it always have to be, a whole forest burned down in California instead? You see, it seems to be that the news is focused on only the valleys, only the bad things, only the things that make you feel bad about the world, worse yet, bad about yourself. Only the things that induce fear, stress, anxiety. Isn't that strange? I would love a news if somebody ever were to create their own news channel. I would love one that does the exact opposite. They only focus on the amazing things that are happening in the state, in the country, in the world. That is actually why I think the news is losing so many followers. People are becoming aware that they are always in this low state, always worried, always living in fear, always in anxiety. People are slowly waking up from this sleepy, bad state, and they're looking for better. YouTube channels are becoming more and more popular. Netflix, my goodness, it has skyrocketed. People are not trying to control what is coming into their reality. In other words, you are controlling what is stimulating you. That's a good start. That's a great start. For a while there, politics, my whole life, I never got it. Yes, I get it. These people are there to speak for the rest of us. We can be all in Washington, D.C., 10 million of us. Okay, let's vote on, I don't know, should we all put out a stimulus check? Of course, most people are going to raise their hand. Hey, free money, sign me up, Instead, what is happening, DC is ran by a few hundred people that speak for millions of people. And if you ask me, these few hundred people seem to be speaking for themselves instead of for the rest of us. That is why it's become such a, I don't even know what to call it, circus maybe. Like, I find it almost laughable. That's why I call it a game now. They want us to be very interested in what they're doing, But if you ask me, everything that's going on there is irrelevant. It is a game to keep you distracted from you. A game designed to make sure you never go looking for your natural state, the state you naturally want to be in. A human being, I have no doubt, we are meant to be happy. And as I keep saying in this video, because we have never learned how to work with our ability to think, we are trapped in this negative state. Because most of what stimulates us triggers us to use our head in future terms and past terms. That is how I see it. That is why I looked really hard at that. What is going on here? This isn't right. This doesn't feel right. This definitely doesn't feel like me. What is going on here? So that is where my search started. I noticed how many people had mixed feelings all over the place. And these mixed feelings, what did they cause? Nobody could get along with each other because everybody has a slightly different view and we were all being divided and conquered. That's what the game of politics is about, dividing and conquering people. David Tyson, just got your link from a friend and subscribe. Big fan. Thank you, David Tyson. Shout out to you. This is my first YouTube channel ever. I'm not going to lie. I have always felt that I have looked deep and hard at the world, at the human state, and I concluded I want to help people. I feel I have freed myself from this world that seems to be a bad place. Most of us struggle with something somewhere in our life, and I realized that doesn't have to be true. Why do we act and live like it is true? That is why I finally made my YouTube channel. I have struggled with many things, including suicide. I still struggle with smoking cigarettes. I know it's not a great thing, but I'm looking at myself like, why am I doing these things? Do I need to do these things? No. Okay, what can I do now to do better? And here's what I concluded. Even if I somehow walk in heaven while I'm on this earth, metaphorically, I am still walking on hell. Right? And that fascinates me. I feel now like I don't even want to go to heaven until I can take everyone around with me. That is how I feel now. And that is why I decided to make this YouTube channel. Do I want to put you all in heaven? Well, metaphorically, yes. At the very least, I want you to observe and learn about yourself. If that is difficult for you, I hope my channel might be a guiding light for that. I'm never going to say I have the solution to your problem, but I have the tools to at least help you look. That is how I view myself. I'm no savior of any kind. I love that I found myself. And instead of telling you how to find yourself, I'm going to now tell people how I found myself. And hopefully people will inner reflect and figure out for themselves, yes, I want to feel that way too. Yes, I want to do better. Yes, I want to be happy all the time. David Tyson, welcome. Thank you for your subscription. Love it. I'm trying to reach 1,000 subscribers. That's the first bar that I have set. We'll see how things go by the time we get there. I'm also hoping to make my YouTube channel more interactive, as in I want to be more one-on-one with people. Like right now, people are actually chatting for the first time in my video. Excuse me, last time it happened too. Like one person said, you should let your cat in because she was meowing into the microphone from outside the window. I did. I got up and let the cat in while I was live. So yes, brother, thank you for your subscription. I appreciate it dearly. Sean Walker, I know you're a huge help here too. I appreciate you dearly. So you see, guys, the ups and downs in lives. Building walls is what we do to avoid the ups and downs. I'm going to argue, drop all your walls. Not overnight. This is going to be a slow, tedious process. But the fact that you are starting the process is a massive step forward. Whether you're depressed, and you're going to tear your walls down, you might live in fear now because you're going to think, okay, my walls are down. Let me put a foot in the world. If you're looking out for everything around now that might go bad, that's not a solution either. Same thing for, I've experienced all the great things. Let me let those walls down. Now you're gonna feel in a different form of fear, like, God, I don't want to be normal. I don't want to be peaceful at peace, like, the mundane things in life. Like, that's too boring for me. Like, all I'm saying is find how you feel when there's nothing stimulating you for a while. I know the first thing that are gonna come to your feelings are, I'm bored, I'm lonely, I don't know what to do with myself. I know. Give this some time. That's normal to feel. I feel bored and lonely sometimes, but that's normal. As a matter of fact, I'm going to say appreciate that feeling for a while. This is your state when you are not stimulated. And to chase the next stimulator is just to say, bored sucks. I don't want to be bored. What I'm actually saying here is when you're bored and lonely, you are something else that you haven't even noticed. You're at peace. Nothing is stimulating you. You are now at peace. You're not worried about tomorrow. You're not reminiscing about yesterday. You're just at peace. How many people do you know that seem to live at peace? I'll tell you who I usually find that is at peace. People that are already in a retirement home. Why? They have lived their lives already. They kind of figured it out. There's nothing to worry about, period. What was I doing my whole life? They probably don't have to worry about going to work, getting up, things are taken care of for them, really, and they're now at peace by default because of that. Most of us that are young or in the middle of our lives, we still have to work for our money. We don't have our retirement money yet, so we still have to do things in our life, and that's going to naturally make us think and worry and stress and fear, anxiety. It's everywhere. I get that. Like I said, exercise this. Look around you in your house. Is there really something you need to worry about, that you need to think about? If you cannot find peace in your own home when there is nothing going on, I know some people have screaming kids in the house, or your husband, your wife that you are not enjoying their presence right now. I'm sh- this sounds funny, right? Go sit on your toilet, a place where hopefully nobody will disturb you. Find a quiet space somewhere and realize when nothing is stimulating you, you are you. Who is that you? And maybe at the end of your day, when you're in a quiet place for many hours to come, I'm speaking of when you are laying down for sleep, try to maybe envision something that makes you happy. Most likely, it'll be something you have never done before. Because if you have already done it, your mind has somehow closed off from adding to that. I know that's not always the case. I'm just saying, when you envision something that's going to make you happy, it's not necessarily something you've already done before. So, yes, sorry, I was checking on my chat. I've never had so much stuff in my chat. That's a completely new thing to me. So, I think that's what I wanted to cover on the ups and downs in life. I'm not saying I have all the answers either. Like I said, I still feel down sometimes too. But it is no longer I feel down and the world sucks. It now I when I feel down, it is more of a let me feel down for a day, because I don't always have to be at peak performance. Feeling down for me is almost a form of relaxing. Like, let me just be at peace down here for a while, and tomorrow I'll pick myself up and go back into the normal routine. It's no longer like I want to commit suicide. I want to jump off a bridge. I want to wreck my car on the highway, smash it up into a crushed Coke can. So, Reverend Sean Walker, how do you cheer people up? In this video, I have been saying quite a bit. No matter what we do, the person that feels depressed, it's not going to have a big impact. But one thing that I've noticed seems to make a huge difference is when that person is willing to talk about how they feel. Here is how I cheer them up. I don't actively do anything. I give that person space to talk, And no matter what they are saying, I'm going to give you an extreme example. I caught my ex-girlfriend with the new dude. I shot the guy dead. Bam. That's something really bad, right? Most of us would say, shit, I should probably call the cops. I'm saying, here's all I do to this person. I am there giving them a place to vent without judgment on my end. And if they've been talking for half an hour, because people that feel really low and down and terrible, ready to kill themselves, ready to just put an end to everything, what helps them the most apparently is let them talk. And when they say something that spooks you, do not interfere, because you're going to shut them down immediately again. You think they don't have that fear? They might go to jail, they might get the death penalty, whatever. Of course they do. All I'm saying is give them a space to talk without any repercussions. I mean, I have heard stories from people too where my logical brain knew, yeah, I should probably interfere here, not with this person, not call the police. Just I had the feeling of I should do something, but I have noticed something else. If I let that person vent by himself without my judgment, without me, hang on a second, let me reason with you. No, I just let them talk. I noticed that by the time they are done talking, not only do they already feel better, some part of them has spoken the solution to their own depression. It seems most of us, we say the solution to our own problems if we are just given a space to let it all out. So I hope you found that answer good. And yes, some people, they eat their own depressions up and they don't want to talk to anybody. I get that too. And these are the people who are very difficult to reach. So pushing these people into, come on, talk to me because you're not going to fix it on your own, pushing them is not always an answer. But do maybe once or twice a day, tell them, I am here for you. If you want someone to talk to, I will listen to you. Don't worry about anything. I am going to listen to you. Know that I'm here for you. Give these people the option. Don't force them, don't push them, don't pull them. Like I said, putting a depressed person on a roller coaster, metaphorically, is just putting, you're going down a roller coaster with a very depressed feeling. The roller coaster doesn't do anything. Reverend John Walker, do you find not judging easy? I struggled with that for a long time in my life. Not anymore. And now I came to peace that it is our human mind that has this need to put things in boxes, slap labels on them. And in the end, it was just me judging the situation. And most of us, we judge based on our past, our memory, our own life experiences, and even the stories of others. Say your best friend had a really bad marriage, like the spouse was always beating them up. You're just naturally gonna judge, like, yeah, bad spouses are bad spouses. Nobody should lay a hand on you anyway, ever. Now, as I've said before, I live a bit of a BDSM lifestyle. I will never raise my hand in anger, not even during a scene in BDSM. Say I'm the sadist. Yes, I usually take on the role of sadist. I inflict pain on another, but I need to do this from a loving state of mind. If I'm not at peace with myself for whatever might have happened during my day, I will not pick on the role of sadist because I want to make sure I give that person the experience they're looking for. I'm not trying to throw my anger on somebody else. Some BDSM relations are like that. The dominant comes home and the partner is literally there to physically take the bad day off of you. Not what I'm talking about. But I'm giving you this idea. Can you now see that if that relation were to end and that same person says, my partner beat me, just leave the tone in the voice out of it, my partner beat me. In this light, it was most likely a good thing because you made the dynamic that way. And that's actually for the first time in my life where I realized, like, yes, I am the one that is saying that is good. and that is bad. But ultimately, I don't know the difference. Yes, I know there is good and bad. I get that, but the judge in our head, we don't. If even if we know the situation to a great extent, it is not up to you, me, or anybody to judge what anybody else is doing. I feel life is about experiences. Notice that I said experiences without good or bad. I really mean that. Life is about experiences. I truly believe many of us are here to have quote unquote bad experiences. I used this in a previous video. If you're in heaven, not incarnated in a physical body, if you're in heaven and everything is amazing up there, how could you ever know what the loss of a loved one feels like? How could you ever know what being physically abused feels like? I swear there are souls here on earth that came down here that says, I want to know what that feels like. I'm going to live a life where I can experience what it's like to be miserable. Because in heaven, it's so amazing. That sounds far fetched, right? And I'm not saying every time you see something bad happen, someone is about to be murdered. If you feel you need to interfere to save somebody's life, good God, don't just sit there, oh, let them experience what it's like to die. God, no. Use some reasoning and logic here, too, people. I'm just saying, don't take everything instantly as that's bad, that's good. Step back for a moment. That is the judge in you that is comparing the past, your past. And because you had a bad experience, that doesn't mean everyone around you that is experiencing similar things, it is bad. Not at all. And that is something all of us do. I find not judging quite hard sometimes. Any tips? Reverend John Walker. Any tips to not judging? From a religious point, I get a quote immediately, and you can probably already think what I'm going to say. Judge not, let ye be judged. I believe it's from the Bible. What that is actually saying, if you are willing to judge other people, you better be ready to be judged too by other people. And that's actually something else that I've noticed. I no longer judge people. And I also no longer care how people see and judge me. Again, I've never meditated for years in a cave to know who am I and who is not me. A judge judging you is not you. The second you take someone's judgment personal, you are no longer you. So I find it quite hard not to judge any suggestions. I'm going to say know the difference between you and the person that is stimulating you here in this case. Someone is talking, you're going to feel certain things they say, you're going to feel judgmental towards that. No, that is just that person explaining his or her experiences, and you do not have to take them personal. The reason things are hard for us to deal with is because we take them personal. I keep saying this, things happen for us, nothing happens to us. When someone talks to you and you feel judgmental, that means that person is happening to you. Try to make that person happen for you. He is saying things, and you're given the choice here. Do you want to judge this? Do you want to take this personal? Or are you just listening to this person without judging anything at all? It is almost like as if this person is talking and you don't know a word that he's saying. Like he might be speaking Latin, I don't know, a language you don't know, obviously. And you're just gonna ideally sit there like, yeah. No, that's interesting, man. Like I love what you're saying. Uh-huh. You see, there is nobody here talking to me, and that is something everybody can easily do. And of course, none of us want to feel like we're not being heard. And I'm not saying do what I'm just doing here. Of course, you want real interaction. That person wants your input. I just don't know how to explain. A person is talking, you're going to feel certain ways. Those feelings are going to cause judgment. How can I avoid this? Know who you are and know that what the person is saying is not you, that is them. And even though you just heard what he or she did and spoke about, what I just said stays true. It is not you. Yes, but now I know that information and I feel guilty. I feel I know something that I should report. Do you have to do that? Really? What that person just told you was that person. This guilt is something many of us suffer too. I should probably make a video too on how to deal with guilt. But even that guilt, it's a low part of the heartbeat pulse that I've been talking about in this video. The guilt, people that live in a constant feeling of guilt, something they did in their past, something that they heard about and didn't do anything about, and they never dealt with it. It's some part of you needs to learn, needs to learn to let go even in the moment. And that is difficult. I'm sure you're aware by now. I'm reading out loud the chat. I hope that's okay. I see you typed something longer. So, guys, I want to make you aware. If you type in the chat, I will say the name and the thing that I'm reading, so we can all be on the same wavelength here. So, Reverend John Walker, I thought I would share this. Going back to the highs and lows, the best way to start your day in a positive. Make your bed in the morning. So even if you have a bad day, you always have your bed ready. I love that. And I'll tell you what, I have that habit. I don't think I made that habit myself. That was crammed into me by my mother. But you make a good point here. Have a routine in your life that you do, whether you're in a relation or single. Making your bed right after you wake up, yes, I do that. If you've ever gone out of town and you had to stay in a hotel for the night, what would you prefer? A nicely made up bed or a room that looked like somebody just had a party there, left, and now the room is for you? It's a dump. Clearly, you're going to get frustrated if the room, first of all, you paid for the room, it should be clean, but never mind that part. The room is a mess. Now what? You need to spend frustration on cleaning this room into something that you can actually relax in. When my mom made me go back to my room in the morning, I'm like, yeah, it's sunny out, let's go play. And she turned me around, go make your bed. It was a chore I dreaded every time. Somehow, my mom lowered my mood that was actually high just seconds ago by making me go up there to clean my bed, make it up. But it is now as an adult that I realize what she actually did for me. And I know now this must have been equally hard on my mother, turning me around in my good mood every time, knowing I would get pissed off. But what you said is right. This is a routine that you built for yourself. And in the end, what's going to come out of that? You're going to appreciate yourself. You're doing something nice for yourself. As long as that feels like a chore for you, don't worry, keep doing it. A day will come when you come home one night after a crappy day at work, you see your bed and it looks nicely made up. You know what? You're actually going to have an uplifted feeling like, yes, this looks nice. I can just flop in here and relax. Versus, my bed is a mess. I don't care. Pff, I'm going to lay down. Screw everything. You see, your bed is not helping you at all here. It is just one more chaos that's just part of your chaotic world. I'll tell you what, I don't just make my bed every day when I wake up. When I cook dinner, while the stuff is on the stove warming up, things need to bake or cook or boil for a few minutes. I will do the dishes of everything that I've made dirty until this point. So the kitchen is clean while I'm eating. I usually make enough to put everything on plates right away. And since I cook for myself, it is always fresh, healthy, and hot. That also means when it's on my plate, it is so hot I cannot eat it right away. So what else do? I will quickly clean all the pots and pans that are still warm. If you resent doing the dishes because it takes too long to scrub the stuff off your pans and pots, I got a big tip for you here. As long as it's all still warm, it comes off very easy. If you let it dry and cake on for a day, a week, maybe, if you're one of these people that just piles up the dishes until someone has to do it, believe me, I've been there too. But you're actually making the job even harder for yourself. Just put the dishes in the sink, and believe me, if you just took the pan off the stove, don't just put your hand on it, it is hot. Run cold water through the pan for like 10 seconds. The water that's in the pan now will be just the right temperature for you. Put a drop of soap in there, run the sponge through it like 4 or 5 times, boink, throw it on the drying rack. It's that quick and easy. When I'm done with dinner, same thing. I take these dishes to the sink, rinse them off immediately. Don't let them sit there and dry on. I'll tell you another side effect of that. If you don't like bugs in your house, do your dishes all the time. Did you know bugs are coming after your leftovers? There you go. Don't leave your leftovers. But you see, these are all things. These are my natural state. I like my house to look. This is gonna sound weird, right? I like my house to look like nobody has been here in weeks. And I don't mean it's a dump. Nobody has cleaned up in weeks. No, it's quite the opposite. It looks like somebody can move in here and start living here immediately. That's how clean and tidy I keep my house. Do I vacuum every day? God, no. I vacuum less than once a month. But then again, I don't walk around in my muddy shoes. You see, I keep the house tidy. When I get off the couch after watching a movie, I put the pillows nicely in the corners. Tomorrow, when I come home to watch TV, the couch looks nice and inviting. It looks like a place where I can relax and let go instead of, ugh, it's a pile of rubble here. And I'm going to watch TV here. I'll tell you something else that my mom always said. People that live in a chaos also live with a chaos in their head. Vice versa. If you meet somebody on the street and the things they speak about and their thoughts and their emotions and their feelings are all over the place, I can almost guarantee you, if you were ever to go to their house, it's going to be a mess. If you don't believe me, maybe you don't know this person enough to know their house, look in their car. Is the car clean inside, or is it like, leftover, food wrappers and, the grocery bags or whatever, like clothing? I've seen plenty of cars like this. But you see, these are people that are very chaotic with their own head inside. They just don't have a real sense of, this is me. And I get it. Some people are so busy, they don't have the time to clean up. But you know what? I'd rather be busy with a peace of mind state than be busy with a chaos in my head. Another habit that I have, and yes, this is me being a smoker, of course, every day, whether it is a work day or the weekend, the first thing that I do right after waking up, I will go sit on my back porch in silence. I'm not checking my Facebook, my Snapchat. I don't even have Snapchat. I'm just saying, I'm not looking for instant stimulus from the world around me. I'm sitting on my back porch because I know this is the world at peace. This is how I want to feel for the rest of my day. At peace with myself. All I'm hearing and seeing is the trees gently waving in the wind. I hear a couple of birds tweeting. They are just doing their thing. I don't take these birds personal. Like, God, just wake up, man. Don't be so loud. No. I'm just sitting here. Yes. Peaceful. I will smoke a cigarette here. I will just blankly stare. I'm not judging anything that I'm seeing. Like, God, I should trim that tree. Like, God, that bird is so loud. Like, God, my pool needs cleaned. I sit there with a blank state of mind and I'm taking that feeling in. That is what I'm doing for 5 minutes. And I'll tell you how important that has become for me. I am always on time at work. I wake up in time. I don't, like, oh, I got 3 more minutes. Let me nap a little. Snooze a little longer. These 5 minutes outside, even if I wake up late for work, I am taking these 5 minutes because they belong to me. I know the corporate world, they want me to be on time. I'm always on time, believe me. And even if I know, shit, I slept 3 minutes too long, I'm still taking these 5 minutes. That is one moment that is stress-free in my life. No one can ever take that from me. If I ever were to go to prison, same thing. I will close my eyes and I will think of that yard behind my house. Peaceful. Yes, try and take that from me. Feng Shui time philosophy type thing. I regret to say I have no idea who Feng Shui is. Anyway, guys, that was my video on how can we better deal with the ups and downs in life. Know who you are and know that every stimulus that happens outside of you, whether it's an annoying person, an amazing day, a crappy job, these are all stimuli that are trying to push and pull your emotions in any direction. Know who you are. I'll tell you what, I don't know where this quote came from. I actually like to think that I came up with this. In your whole life, there is one person you are only going to have to live with and get to know that person really well to be at peace. You are that person. If you have a crappy partner, don't tell them how to be a better person because you might not have to be with that partner your whole life. You are the person you can work on. That is my quote. Be the change that you want to see in the world. Yes, don't try to change the world. Work on yourself. Your perspective on the world is actually what's causing your problems. Know for yourself that there is never anything to worry about unless you choose to worry about it. That would be the stimulus again. Realize what is a stimulus and what is just you at peace. Find that inner peace. That is you. And unless you choose to, nobody can ever take that away from you. That was my video on how to avoid the ups and downs and how to better deal with the ups and downs in life. I'm not going to say avoid because things will always come our way completely unexpected. And yes, if you are at peace, even the unexpected things are much easier to handle. So, guys, that was my video. Hour and 20 minutes. Awesome. I love this talk. And it was amazing actually to see interactions from my viewers because it helps. It helps to hear and see people are listening. People have interest in the things that I have to say. It helps me greatly. It gives me more motivation to keep doing videos, to keep helping others, to keep putting my thoughts out on YouTube. Thank you, all of you. I appreciate it dearly. If you like the videos, guys, feel free to send links to your friends. I would love more subscribers, of course. I'm not trying to become an important person. I'm trying to have everybody that seeks peace have a voice to listen to. That's all I'm looking for. I want to be a light in your life if you let me. Simple as that. Please subscribe. Please like the videos. Please comment. Your comments are greatly appreciated, and I respond to all of them so far. So, thank you all. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Bye-bye.